It's 8 a.m. and it's your first lecture for the day. Auditing. They introduce the topic for the week, pre-engagement activities. 5 minutes pass. Your eyes droop gradually, slowly. Another 5 minutes pass. Yes or no? She asks. What did she say? You think. You don't care. You are bored out of your mind. But this content is the obstacle in between you and your future. How do you break past boredom and become the student you know you need to become? Today we are joined by Gareth Griffiths, associate at PwC, MCom in Taxation, and UP alumnus, having graduated with distinction in all years of his studies. He also placed first in the country in the SAICA ITC for 2024. We chat about how enthusiasm alone was the key to his study success and how you can inject enthusiasm into your life and work. We also chat about starting university during COVID, the value of doing a personality test, why he chose to become an academic trainee in his first year of articles, his FIRE values framework for study and career success, and more. I hope you enjoy. My travelers on the road to CASA. Very quick one. If the show has been adding value, if it is giving you some culture, some solace, and some inspiration on the long road to CASA, please give it a rating. It is the one way we can show the world that aspiring CAs are better than we've ever been. Please do that if you're enjoying it. And please do enjoy the show. On to the episode. Welcome back, my people. This is the Road to CA podcast, the show for aspiring chartered accountants to inspire, empower, and inform the difference makers of tomorrow. Guys. Whew. Today we're joined by the GOAT, as they call him on the DL. Whatever he does, guys, he does with that unabashed eagerness. He is therefore also one who does it with distinction and distinctions. Evidently, everywhere Gareth goes, there seems to be this trail of excellence. You know, from top scholar in matric to top scholar in the country, apparently, passing his ITC as well as his undergrad and postgrads with distinction, but additionally ranking number one in South Africa in the SAICA ITC for 2024. Most importantly, though, he likes to swim, he likes to read, to cycle, occasionally run, and play board games with his friends in his spare time. Friends like these, man, if you know, you know. He is now an academic trainee at the University of Pretoria and completing his master's in taxation. Soon, by the time you're listening to this, probably he would have already finished it, actually. We're joined by Mr. Enthusiasm. We're joined by Gareth Griffiths. Gareth, how are you, man?
Good, thanks yourself, Alunga. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate that introduction.
Dude, I'm excited because, myth busting is one of my passions on this podcast. There's these, ideas around, top students, they don't go through struggles. Top students, you're flying, blah, blah, blah. And when you see that these people are humans,
yes,
it's refreshing. And for me, also, it's such a privilege to now get to learn a little bit about you and a lot of the perspectives that you can teach me and share with me.
Yeah, the setbacks and what you think about the struggles. Everyone goes through the same struggles, not on the same level, in university. So for someone like me in my journey, it was learning to get that balance of life, if that makes sense, because you're trying to balance your studying and your life, and you also have to then, and sometimes your studying impacts your life in terms of if something doesn't go as well as you planned, there has to be a little less life, or that's at least what you feel like. Because for me, in my journey, what I realized is ensuring that the holistic, so ensuring that the social, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the sport side of life ensuring that was okay made sure that my academic performance could perform at the level that I wanted. So your struggles as you go through university and even just high school as well, it is different for each person because each person comes from a different background.
Yeah.
Each person has their own struggles with what they understand, what they don't understand, or the people that they deal with. So when I was looking at my journey, I've been very privileged along my journey to have my supportive parents and my brother along my journey who have really, really helped me get to where I am today, and have a fantastic group of friends that have journeyed with me through high school, and some of them joined me here at university too. And then I met some at university and in residence that are going to be lifelong friends. So to have that part of my university experience, that is something I'm definitely going to remember. For me, one of the hardest things about my university journey was the COVID year, because my first year started in 2020.
So that was your first year. So you came for like a few months, 2-3 months.
Yes.
University, and
Yes.
then boom.
And then boom, COVID. Home, a screen, lecturers getting used to using online platforms. Luckily, the University of Pretoria was very prepared for that. But it was just this new environment where you sit in watching a recording and that is your job to do.
Sure.
I have to think that one of the nice parts about it was having something to do. So you're still in first year, you've got university, you've got work that you need to do. So it keeps you occupied during the period of lockdown, which for many people was a horrible part of their lives. What I realized is I missed the social interaction like properly. And my personality is an extrovert, or one of the components of the 16.
The Ocean 5, or
I think the 16 personalities.
I'm talking about the MBT.
Yes, that one.
Okay,
yeah, so
that one.
I'm an ESTJ.
Okay.
So I'm definitely an extrovert. So the enjoyment from interacting with people, I really missed during my journey. And then in 2021, when we started second year, we were on this hybrid system, and I was on my HC at Res, so we helped manage the Res and that type of thing. So I was here in Pretoria, but we were sitting in our Res rooms watching videos still. So there was still some, but that time at least, then there's more engagement with people because the COVID restrictions had relaxed, but they were still in place. So there's only limited social interaction. But then for me, our third year started, and that's when they started to allow us to come back to campus. And was it a blessing to be able to get to know the people in my degree, because you would have just seen them in the chat box, the name.
You just know, you see that Jane Doe. You just see Jane Doe and you're like, oh, you Jane Doe.
Yes, exactly. And so many other people are like, oh, you Gareth. Oh, you're the one in the chat box. And I was like, yes, that's the person.
To interject quickly on that, I think it's so valuable to know your personality. Although these tests aren't, I think, 100% accurate, even some of the source material on these tests, when you do some research, it's obviously not like, it's in some ways it's a little bit star sign-esque.
Yes.
But it's actually valuable to start thinking about, are you introverted versus extroverted? A big one that I want to also just quickly sort of caveat is, if you perceive yourself as introverted, a lot of people here in like social media, introversion it means you're shy. That's not true.
Yeah, no.
That is absolutely not true. And that is called social anxiety. Everyone has it.
They do.
A level of it.
A level of
Everyone's
it, definitely.
got it.
Yes.
But I think it's really valuable to have this, test that just like some sort of understanding of yourself.
Yeah, because it also helps what energizes you. So, for example, if I know that being around people energizes me and gives me a life that I enjoy, and then but also a life that then energizes you each and every day, is that there's a quick hack to increase your social battery or to increase your battery to be able to do other things. So often when I am more tired, I'll spend more time talking to people because I walk away from those situations feeling more energized and ready to do what else I need to do, which is why one of the reasons that I chose academic traineeship. Besides the fact I enjoy the people, and one of my life motto, one of the concepts there is that to use my learned experience to help others grow in their journeys. So academic traineeship was like a no-brainer for me, and I was just like, I'm going to to do it. But it's also the nice part of it is that there is so much social interaction with the students that as an extrovert, that is something that brings you energy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is not saying that someone who's introverted can't make a contribution or can't make a great lecturer or academic trainee or actually public speaker as well. It's just what you get energized by. And it's something that you can actually learn to be a bit more extroverted, because extroversion helps getting to know people. But introversion helps getting to know them one-on-one. So there are different aspects to being extrovert and introvert and the different personality types that are valuable for society and have different social skills. So in fact, if you look at my one, I'm a bit in the middle, but I'm slightly more extroverted. So in some situations I'll be introverted, and that serves you well. So for example, in an interview. So if you interview and you're one-on-one with someone, you get to know them, they get to know you, and you can ask the questions and be inquisitive, and then that helps you in that situation. Whereas extroversion in a board meeting or in front of a class or in a tutorial, that then helps because you can relate to people, and people can, if they enjoy the experience or they enjoy the lecture with you, they're more likely to learn something from a lecturing point of view, or if you're into interview, you're more likely to make an impact. So I think the different personalities, it doesn't define you or box you into who you want to be, but it gives you more awareness about who you are and what your personality is. Doesn't mean that it needs to be fixed. It also changes over time. So it just is, who do you want to be, and how can you use the information from these tests in order to actually motivate you to be a better person, but also to manage your energy levels as well, because then you also know how or what can actually manage you, and it also helps you understand, if you know other people's personality types, how to interact with them. Because interacting with people is the human experience. So you will always interact with people, and you're always journeying alongside people. So if you know how to not manage people, but how to work with them and work in such a way that you actually understand that how you might view the world is also different to how they might view the world. And understanding that gap can also help you make a difference in other people's lives, which is actually one of, ironically, SAICA's mottos is to be a difference maker. And often you'll see is, how do you make a difference today? And that is SAICA's motto as a CASA.
On that, in terms of extroversion versus introversion, and you mentioned the battery, right? I love the image, because the introvert, they get recharged to some degree with interactions with others, whereas the extrovert, they deplete their battery. The way that you affect others is always going to be outside yourself.
Yes, exactly.
That's the key.
But I think one of the things I've realized by myself is there are certain circumstances where I will actually be more energized after interacting with people. So I've learned that about myself, which then actually makes me more productive or helps me to perform better in my job, because I know that by interacting with the people, I'll have more energy to do the other stuff, which might drain me a tiny bit. But it's okay, because you're human. That's part of the human experience. So it's learning how to deal with that and manage it to your best of your ability, which helps you then perform and do whatever you define success to be.
That's a whole other conversation. Yes. Let's go back, right? Let's go rewind, right? So I know the people around you. There's a lot of CAs around you. You may or may not have been, that atypical stereotype in our heads of the person who in their sleep was dreaming of not counting sheep, but debits and credits. You go debit bank, credit revenue. So let's go back to where CA began for you. And
where did CA begin for me, or begin for me to be correct in the English? Grade 7, grade 8.
Goodness gracious, that's far back.
So remember, I don't know, it was NSC do life orientation. So one of the projects we had in either grade 8 or 9 was a career project. So what do you want to become one day? So that's where I did the research for the CASA journey, or the chartered accountancy journey.
You just you just called mom. Hey mom, what do you think?
Yes, exactly. So it's also that you have someone in the family that you can then talk to, which makes it way easier to find out what it's about. And I think that's where also when I was younger and my mom used to work at PwC, then occasionally you would see the offices and that type of thing. So I was exposed to it from a very young age. But then I made the choice in like grade 8, grade 9, 10 actually.
9, 10.
So 9, 10, and 10 is when you make your subject choices. And that's when I decided to take accounting as one of my subject choices at school. And for those of you doing NSC, also then history and physics. So it was a very broad aspects and every broad subject areas that I was involved in, and it's ironic.
It's fantastic though.
Yeah,
history, accounting, physics.
Yeah, so I was very grateful to my high school, so Selborne College. What they don't allow you to do is streamline. So they don't allow you to take like business and accounting, because then you are gearing yourself towards a economic degree or something in the faculty of economics, which is not a bad thing.
Not necessarily. No.
But when you are in grade 10 and you're making those subject choices when you're in grade 9, so minimum age, or actually minimum age is 15. So when you're 15 years old, you're making subject choices that are going to affect your high school journey and then go into university.
The rest of your life, essentially.
Essentially your rest of your life.
Yeah, a bit early, eh?
But so it's a bit early for that. So I actually am really grateful that is something that when we could do. And my subject choice changed on the night from being accounting, physics and bio to accounting, physics and history.
Sure.
So thankfully for my history teacher,
who was your history teacher?
So Mr. Pt1, one of the best teachers I've ever had in history itself as well as school. He was a great teacher. And a shout out to obviously my accounting teacher, because he got me on this journey. And apologies to my maths teacher who thought I could do better than CASA. So no, but I don't think there is something better than CASA. And it's something where it's really weird in high school when you're like, oh, you're going to university, what are you studying? CASA. It's like, why not doctor? Why not engineer? It's so weird for me that these people don't see CASA as a prestigious career path or career choice, which I find very weird, because often if you look at the JSE listed companies, who's sitting on the boards? Who gets called in when there's problems? So
I think that there really is we can hypothesize here on this podcast. I like the ideas, because I think it puts out ideas in the ether. There's a disconnect on the visualization level, because I think even when you're a student, an accounting student, do you know what an accountant does?
No.
You see what honestly, I'm saying?
And I think one of the biggest things is you come into varsity and you're not like 100% sure what it is, and you get to about second or third year and you're like, oh, okay, this is starting to make sense. But a lot of it is when I got into my honors year, so CTA, you start listening to the financial use and you go, that's it. And then you start getting into that space where you can think about everything and think about how they interrelate with everything, and then actually make sense of it. And you must start making sense of the financial world and often the actual world itself, because a lot of your political decisions are because of economic crises. So crises. But so getting to that position is extremely cool for me as someone who's studying for those three years, and you're like, okay, I'm getting this, I'm starting to understand a bit here, and then you hit that penny drop moment, and then you're like, oh. And it's not a journey that stops. There's stuff that I've realized this year. So obviously I'm a tax academic trainee. So you start realizing some things about tax. And I'm like, oh, that's why we do that for auditing, or that's why we do that in accounting. So you start realizing along this journey, and you start learning new things every day, which I still think is really cool. And it's one of the things about the CA profession is they want us to be lifelong learners, and it's something that I want to be. I don't want to stop my learning at a stage and just move on. But I guess whatever career path, and I know this is the CA route podcast, but whatever career path you choose, the way that you do your lifelong learning, you keep on learning, that's going to determine your trajectory of life.
Oh my goodness. So, that's actually a huge base to base your life off of. What can you carry on learning for the rest of your life? I think that's more like it. It's not like what can you carry on doing, what can you carry on learning? Because that's actually the thing that you're not going to stop doing if you're in the right job.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also something that you have to be passionate about. So one of the other core components of my motto is to be curious and display enthusiasm. So and enthusiasm doesn't have to be something initially that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So for example, in school, no one really likes poetry. But I would hype myself up in such a way that I would get into the habit of enjoying this poetry, enjoying this journey of studying the poetry, and it leads to better results. The same way you might not enjoy a particular module at university, but if you can somehow convince yourself to be passionate about it and actually enthusiastic about it, you perform better.
Absolutely, man. Like lifelong learning, chase lifelong learning. I think like that is, if there's anything you take from this 2 minutes, chase lifelong learning. You have those 4 values. I'm very, very curious of integrity, respect, enthusiasm, and faith.
Yes.
That obviously is what your motto is based off of. I want to, because I've been really studying this idea of values. And when you look at like company values and company culture, the problem with some of these companies is when you don't operationalize it and bake it into your policies, your incentives, just the general structure of the organization, these values that are so nice, that are so, amazing, just become words.
Yeah, it becomes a tick box exercise.
It becomes like this tick box that you just have to have on your website. But values, the beauty is in how they can be used. So let's just quickly break down, because I have thoughts around these values and these words. Like, what does each mean in life? So let's start with integrity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I first want to say, before we continue with the values, so the acronym spells FIRE. And I can't actually take credit for that, because that's my high school. That's what our values at Selborne College were.
Crazy.
Were FIRE, faith, integrity, respect, and enthusiasm. And a lot of them were already values that are valued, but I hadn't fully realized yet or encapsulated it into like a statement. So I also sometimes like adding determination or grit to it, but then it becomes fired, and isn't that as cool? So we're going to stick with fire. Okay. So, but integrity. Integrity is also one of the fundamental principles of a CASA.
Yeah.
So integrity is because someone actually asked me, it was when I had the opportunity to speak to a bunch of students from Namibia.
Okay.
And one of the things they said they wanted me to speak up is the value of ethics and what do you see. So when we start off in our journey of accounting, we all learn about the gap between, it's called the agency theory, the gap between those who manage the company and those who own the company.
I remember that.
Yes.
Like, agency, we lived in KRG.
Yes. So you've got your shareholders who own the company, and you've got the management who run the company.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, it used
commercial
to be
law, sorry. For
yes,
people who don't
commercial
know.
law.
It's
yes.
commercial law.
So back in the day, what happened is you'll have your shareholders were involved in the company a lot more than they are today. And your managers are running the company. So you need someone to step in there and say what management are telling the owners, the shareholders, is correct, is actually correct, or is actually true. And that's where the auditing profession started. And a CASA isn't just someone who audits.
Yeah.
Because CASA, you get CASAs in business, running their own business, lecturing, teaching, doing everything basically,
everything,
which is one of the reasons I chose the CASA journey, is to actually, because you can do anything.
Yeah.
And when you're not exactly certain what you want to do, the I can do anything thing really appeals to you.
Yeah.
So, but as part of that journey, in part of maybe if you look at the auditing profession, is you are providing assurance, which is why it's called assurance, that something is correct or true to the people who are then making decisions based on that information. So if you don't have integrity as auditors, your foundation for your profession, which is trust, you're basically selling trust. Without that integrity, everything collapses.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of scandals in South Africa and around the world that have integrity and ethical issues. So integrity is actually a cornerstone of your profession, and I think all professions actually.
Yeah.
Because if you look at healthcare professionals, you're taking care of people's lives. Yeah. If you don't have integrity,
engineers,
engineers.
What was that building collapse? Was George? There was some building in George.
Yes.
Goodness gracious. That's what happens when your engineer isn't professionally competent, or I don't know the exact details, but you can definitely infer, like, if this guy didn't train properly, or if there wasn't a proper check done, people die.
Yeah.
It can get to that level.
And the thing is, if you're managing someone's money, for example, so if you look at Steinhoff, how many people's lives, how many people's retirement funds were affected by the collapse of Steinhoff? And Steinhoff employs thousands of people. And those people are helping their own families. Yeah. So it's not that we don't have an impact on people's lives. Yeah. It just might not lead immediately to a death to someone, like an engineer, if a building collapses. But we're not the indirect impact.
We're not in the business of saving lives, but we are in the business of saving livelihoods.
Yes. That's actually a brilliant way to... Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because the economy runs. And we are responsible a lot for what happens in the economy, not only because there's a whole lot of factors that impact the economy, obviously, but the livelihoods part, that's actually a very nice statement, and I think something that you can then use in future as well.
I guess, man. I say a lot of these things, so hopefully people get value from them. Interestingly, the etymology of the word integrity comes from the Latin word integer, right? Which is... basically, it means whole or entire. Integer. Remember integers?
Yes.
Back in school? 1, 2, 3, 4?
I think vaguely, eh?
Yeah, vaguely. But think, like, when you even think about the word integrity, integer, whole, when someone doesn't have integrity, they're empty. And when you have someone in an organization who's empty, what does that become? It becomes a weakness. The structure breaks. You don't want your manager, you don't want your CEO, you don't want your people who have high influence to not have integrity, because that's a weak structure.
That is true.
That's an empty structure.
Yeah.
Respect.
What
does that mean?
Respect for me. It's actually, it's just respecting people. But respect is actually just valuing each person's life and each person's opinion and who they are in your own journey, but that becomes very personalized, and then your ego increases a lot. But having respect also means ensuring that managing yourself in such a way that you are going to be a good contribution to society. Well, not contribution, because that sounds very, very what is the correct word? Materialistic, objectifying, yes. So respect, it is the process of realizing, it's a lot, I want to say a bit like the Ubuntu principle. It's you're living in society, but you're also a part of society, and because you're a part of society, you contribute back to society. So the respect for me is ensuring managing my own emotions, my own personality and my own actions, that knowing that they have an impact on other people. So it's to ensure that you are doing that with a mind that you actually impact other people as well. So that in your journey, when you're looking at your life and how you impact others in your journey, it's to say, okay, they have their journey, I've got my journey, but I'm not going to make it all about me. We are doing this thing called life together. That's why that favorite song that I looked at earlier, one of my favorite songs, that floating through space, is to say we're all just floating through space. And that as we go about this journey, we live it together. So if we want to live together in this world, and in this country, and in this province, if you want to go to this town, functionally, you need to have respect for one another. Because the respect leads to growth, and growth leads to a better world for all. I know that sounds extremely corny, but it's true.
Think about it so I think there's in my mind, there's like two versions of respect. There's the respect you're talking about, which is very linked to dignity. Yes. Which is, at least in the sort of modern day, typically Christian. It's a very long conversation, a long thought around how the world is actually, in large ways, at least the Western world, it's built on Christianity. But this is not a religious podcast. That respect for just the human being that is basic. And what you've mentioned, you can't have a prosperous world that's less unequal, etc., without that
respect.
That first
which is
respect.
why it's one of the values of our constitution. Our constitution is one of the best, if not the best,
if not
in the world.
the best in the world. And you mentioned Ubuntu as well. It's actually been woven into our entire jurisprudence as well, which is amazing.
Exactly.
But there's another side also. So that's respect for the human being, which is very linked to dignity. And it was an interesting view by this guy, Alex Hormozy. He's an internet entrepreneur. He said respect. So this is the other respect. Respect is leaving something or someone or whatever it is in its original function. When you respect a building, what do? You don't put graffiti on it. You don't vandalize it and break the doors and the walls and the windows. When you respect, a CEO, what do? You don't get in his way. You leave him to do what he does, and you leave him to lead. And I feel like there's those two different types of respect. The one which is, I think, it's key and it's basic. The other, which not everyone has. You sort of have to earn respect in the eyes of others in order to exist.
And it's something you can't force either.
You can't.
So
You earn
respect
it.
is earned.
That
and
one's earned.
respect is mutual.
It has to be.
So
Yeah.
if you don't respect others, people won't respect you. It's the truth. It's not to say that then you just respect others because you want to be respected.
No, you
But
won't
it
get that
is-
respect
That
per se.
won't be that say because
Yeah.
people see through that.
Yeah.
But it is a mutual, and that's why it's a human experience, the respect, because it's a mutual engagement with others. And it's also, even when someone doesn't show you that respect, it's not to say turn back and show them none either, because it's not something that you should be, I want to say,
Chasing.
chasing, or even just rejecting because someone else didn't show you respect. Not let your life be impacted so badly by others. And it's very hard to do. It's way easier than said than done.
Yeah.
So-
Because there's a lot of ego that's involved with
Yes.
this. Yeah.
So, and then it becomes something, and that ties to humility as well, because respect is about being humble, that you aren't the biggest, brightest thing in the world or in the galaxy or the universe, if you want to even go that far. And that recognizing that you live with others. So when you have that respect for them, you're going to live co-side or in cohesion, that's the word that I'm looking for, side by side with them, and then you're going to journey life with them. So that mutual respect is something that then leads back to the other principle of that is going to improve society, and that's what society needs. That's what society was built on too. So yeah, I think that for me, and together with your comments, is what respect entails. But it's also, every time you talk about values, until someone actually asks you what your values mean, do you really deeply think about them? So it's not something I've exactly thought about. It's just I want to embody these things in my life as well.
The thing I love about values is, if you even think about values in general, we will never really, truly, entirely achieve them. Values are aspirational.
Exactly.
They're the things we aim at. Obviously SAICA CPC, it's something that we have to abide by. That's the constitution.
You should want to abide by it.
We should want to, and we should.
And we do.
And we do. The thing is, if you actually think about integrity, for an example, are you filled with integrity all the time?
No,
100%.
I don't think anyone ever can be completely 100%.
Because we're human at the end of the
Yes,
day. Not
yeah.
to say, be negligent, don't have integrity, and don't hold people to standards. But the nature of values are these things that are unattainable. Truth be told, you'll never be humble 100% of
Yes,
the time.
oh no, that's true. Yeah, you'll never completely be humble. You'll never completely show respect to everyone that you want to, but it's not something to hear it say unattainable puts it in a very bad light, but it is true that it is a desire.
It in a very hopeful way.
It's something you aspire to, and you can live by those principles and try to get as close as possible, if that makes sense.
I mean, not to get religious, but I mean, if you think about, in the Christian sense, if you think about what, those bands, what would Jesus do? it's because most of the time you're not going to do what Jesus did.
Exactly.
You know, what he would do, but you're going to try. And you're going to try and do the perfect thing. You're going to try, aspire to the ideals. But the problem with ideals is that they need an ideal environment as well.
Exactly. And that's true. And this world is broken.
It's broken. But now that's our responsibility as leaders to create these amazing paradises.
Yeah.
That's our imperative. That's the problem we need to solve. So it's in our prerogative to make sure that the silos are full, that the grass is green, that the cows are fat, and that's where we can start to really push integrity, enthusiasm, you know, respect, faith. That's where it exists, you know?
Yeah, it definitely. And it's with the broken world and having ideal values, they are ideals.
They're ideals.
And that's something that can then help move the world where you are now to where you want to be in future.
Yeah.
And it's not just the world, it can be your own life as well. Because I believe that by living a life displaying curiosity and displaying enthusiasm, it's so that I can grow as a person, and when I grow as a person, I bring others with me. So I share those learned experiences with others, and that's something I've always known, I've always enjoyed doing, is help passing on my own knowledge. And that's why I'm here sitting.
You're an AT.
I'm an AT.
Yeah,
because I'm passing on my knowledge of taxation and how to just be a student, and also hopefully breaking some barriers as to who you think is a top student, or who can be a top student, or a top student does this or doesn't do this. So that is also, it's not one of the main goals, it's just a byproduct of the position that I'm placed into. And it's a very, very not tough position to be in, but it's, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that it's a very valuable position, because you're placed in this position where you stand in a group of 400, in my case, up to 700 students, and you are there as this bridge into seeing that this person, was here a student 2 years ago, that they are where I can be and I can get there, and then it's been relatable. Yeah. So it's a difficult position in that you are there to help others on their journey, but it's difficult in the sense that you can't help everyone, but you can help them as much as you can, and you can only help those who are willing to be helped.
That's a huge one, That's enthusiasm, you mentioned it briefly, which is huge. I think it's huge.
So enthusiasm, I believe, is the key to success. And success is what you define it as. So whether it is a certain mark or whether, I just don't like success being superficial, but enthusiasm leads to that success, and it leads to achievements in your life that you never thought you could ever do. And being enthusiastic also then helps others on their journey. So especially as a trainee, if you're enthusiastic, or a lecturer, or someone in a teaching position even, and you are interacting with people and you're helping them along their journeys and developing their knowledge and their life experiences, if you are enthusiastic about what you do, it helps them get enthusiastic about, for example, the content area. So I believe that in having the enthusiasm to actually show up as well and be present, enthusiasm then just becomes a key foundational part of who you are as a person, and then what you can do. Because without enthusiasm, I don't think anyone's ever done anything really.
I feel like enthusiasm is also another one of those basic things, in that the image that came in my mind was when you put a drop of water into a body of, like into a lake, you see this ripple effect.
Yes.
That's what enthusiasm is. It's that ripple effect. It's one of the fundamental sort of axioms of life is energy. Whether that be literal energy in the form of heat that heats up water, whether that be food that your body will digest. Funny enough, just a quick side note, you know where calories come from?
No.
So they basically, the way people measure calories is they'll take a piece of the food that they're measuring, they'll put it in a little box, and they'll burn it. And however long it takes for that thing to burn, that's how many calories
it is.
which is so
interesting.
funny.
Yeah.
So it's basically like sort of simulating the digestion process.
Yes.
It's a very energy,
Yes.
metabolism, it's kind of oriented activity. And so that's where calories come from.
Learn something new every day.
And so energy is just huge, and enthusiasm is your way of giving others the energy that hopefully doesn't stop with just them.
Exactly. And the thing is, you never know what impact you have.
Yeah.
Either just interacting with a person, or for generations to come, because you inspire those who come after you. And I think that's an incredible part of being human, an incredible part of the human experience, that if not done well, but if lived with necessary enthusiasm and the necessary caring attitude and having that respect, that then you can inspire the generations to come. And it's not a thing of, okay, I'm going to inspire the generations for generations to come. I'm going to inspire them just so I can live on in the memory. That's a very
self-serving.
Self-serving objective. Whereas if you never know what impact. So the person that you smile at on a day where they are really going through something, and you can just brighten their day by just a smile. You'll never know how that is. Or speaking to someone on an elevator or on the stairs and just chatting to them, seeing where they are, asking how they're doing. Because often the how you're doing, if someone answers like really honestly, it's often, I think I'm okay. And then you walk away from that conversation way better. So I think that in having the enthusiasm, that ripple effect that you have, that doesn't just leave those people you've inspired, but greater communities, families, your communities, maybe even society itself. And those in very high positions can be countries or continents.
I think of, when in like organizational and governance studies, you think of tone at the top. I think of the champagne waterfall.
Yes. That's a good one to think of.
I always think of that because if you even think about this enthusiasm topic, if you are not overflowing as a leader, you're not going to have everyone else receive the culture, receive whatever it is you want this organization to be. And so you have to be enthusiasm. I even say leadership oftentimes is just saying the indispensable and absolutely vital things over and over again with the same level of enthusiasm. Sometimes you just need the basics, but it's even better when the basics come from the CEO who is enthusiastic.
Yes.
If he tells you, be enthusiastic again and again and again, you're probably going to be enthusiastic.
Yes. I think that is also one of the things, but it's also getting the buy-in without telling them to do something, because I don't think often people respond to that being told you need to be enthusiastic. No one's going to get
it's
that.
not inspiring.
But it's to create an environment where people are enthusiastic about in an organization coming to work. Playing that difference, making the difference in the organization, doing their job and their part well, because it's a well-oiled machine that's moving. So if you get people excited and engaged and enthusiastic to be in that work environment, that organization can reach huge heights and new heights too. And that all comes often from the top management, the tone at the top, trickles down.
Faith.
Yeah. So I don't think I could have gone through this journey without my faith. So I was born and raised Christian, and I still am Christian, because that sounds like I'm born and raised, that I stopped. So I think my faith in God and what Jesus Christ has done for me on the cross, and knowing that in that sense it's so contrary to academics, where it is you work this hard, you get that achievement. That is completely different to the faith journey.
Very scientific.
Yes, so that's very scientific, and it's your achievement is what your output it gives, and it's not the same with the faith. And that, I think, is something that is so countercultural about the Christianity, and living a life that is then better than you, and it impacts every other part of my life. Enthusiasm. To live life and life to its full. For respect is to respect one another with the love that doesn't just come from you, it's a love that comes from above, that love that we were shown first. And then lastly, to integrity. If you look at back in those, faith just pulls through others, because it's out of the supernatural, the natural happens.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that is where, and the journey of the tough times. It's nice to think that there's someone who's in control of the universe that is on your side. And I think that when you move, that going through everything, it is just an absolute incredible realization.
Even on a rational level, right? So not to get religious, but like just think about this idea that no matter what, whether the upcoming exams that are coming up right now,
exactly,
go tits up, or if it's a success, whatever happens, I'm still loved. Imagine there's this thing out there that or this person out there that's just always got your back.
So no matter what you do,
no matter what you do,
no matter who you are,
yeah, this idea that there's someone out there that wants you to do your best no matter what,
and that's someone that's with you too,
that's with you throughout.
And I think that's something that I took incredible comfort in during my my journey, both in undergrad but especially in CTA. I don't think I could have got through that, because your faith is then something that impacts the mental, it impacts the spiritual, it impacts obviously the spiritual, it impacts impacts the mental, it impacts the exercise, it impacts your academics. So it's something that you can't fully explain. And it's something that got me through those, now it's 3 days. 3 days of ITC, which is like the pinnacle of your university career. Sure. Because you've made it through undergrad, you've made it through CTA or PGDUS, and then you get to going to the ITC, or the IAC. And this is testing, as it says, your initial assessment of competence. So it's trying to see, are you actually competent? And it's a huge pressure. And going into it knowing that it isn't just in my hands, that it's in his hands, made it so much better. And so much glory, and all glory to God in that result. Because I couldn't achieve it by myself.
I think it's, what was it, Matthew 6, Matthew 5? The earth is of the meek. I have this idea around it, and wanted to bounce it off you, I guess. Like my thinking of it is, and as you say, like there's so many of these. There's a lot of these benefits from believing in such a type of thing. One of them, when you have humility, is when they say the earth is of the meek. I don't think it's that when you humble yourself, you're going to, get the world. The world's going to give itself to you. But I think it's when there's this humility in this person, people want to uplift that person. People want that person to go further.
And they want to know what's different about that person. So if you look at the life of Jesus, there's the best example of someone who's humility. It's God in person. The person who created the universe, the very ground, the mountains you're standing on, that river that's flowing over there, it's all created by him. That is crazy. It's someone that lived a normal life, that came into this world and then preached the world and then changed the world for all. And that humility, it also then gives you a chance to serve others. And serving others is a big part of the Christian faith. So it is, how can you then impact the lives of others? But it isn't about forcing them to do their own will. That is the thing about God and the Garden of Eden, is that humans were given a choice. Obviously, he wants to love us and wants to be with us, but it is your choice. So that is the journey of faith, and it does impact who you are as a person and how you live your life as well. And that, how you live your life and who you are as a person, impacts who's around you, and impacts how you view the world. And when you view the world in such a way that it's not just this horrible place where disgusting things happen. There are disgusting things that happen. There are horrible things that happen. But you are loved. So is the person standing next to you. It is a way, I'm going to say it's a way of life. It is a way of life. But it's a way of doing life here for a short time that's going to have impact for eternity.
I love the way you put that. CTA.
Yes.
This is
the
this
beast
is
that is
a
CTA.
bit of a demon for a lot of us.
Yes.
What was your experience? I want to get really tactical into this one because I feel like obviously there was something that was successful in your tenure, and I think also it would be very valuable to see, how did you struggle as a top student? So let's just go through the year. Let's go from January 1st all the way till the last
So
exam.
I started, I think it was January the 16th of 2023.
23.
So that is the day that we had our...
To be continued in part 2. See you next week.